Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing the P-Bandai Master Grade Gundam Stormbringer Fatal Ash / GM Turbulence. Now this is a P-Bandai and you can't get on their site anymore, but after this review, this kit might be worth it to some of y'all to try hunt down and pick up. And I believe it's still for sale on the hangar bay, so I'll probably leave a link to that down below in the description. But this thing is basically a kit bash in a box and some of the most fun I've had building a Master Grade in a long time. So let's get into it. Now we'll get started off with the accessories this guy comes with. And to start off with, this thing literally comes with an extra part on every runner. Now, for me, that's not a bad thing. I like to mod kits, and spare parts are always nice, and a lot of these aren't just junk. A lot of them are parts that you can swap out as you're building this kit. It comes with 2 different sets of shoulders. It's got a complete backpack in here, of course, for the gem model, their design of this. And I mean, it has another complete chest unit for it, and knees and everything else. So you can, like I said, this is basically a kit bash in a box. So this was a really fun build for me. So you have a lot of spare parts, a complete other back skirt assembly in this if you want to swap it out. But that's for all the extra parts there. Now when it comes to the color correcting stickers, it's not bad at all. Just got this small sheet right here, which is basically the eyes for the Gundam head. And then of course some camera stickers there, some lenses there. And the only actual color correcting sticker is the white one here, which goes around the antenna on the gym head there. Other than that, I mean, that's really not bad. I didn't put any of these on because I'll probably end up using them later on when I do paint the kit. And it does also come with a very nice set of water slide decals. And it comes with some for the polyball as well, which I didn't know that these two kind of went together. And I built the polyball a few months back, and it never did dawn on me that that's the Stormbringer back there in the background with it. So when I paint these up, these will definitely be painted up together to kind of match each other. But yeah, it comes with a nice set of water slides, and I'll definitely be putting these to use. Now, for the other accessories that come with the actual kit for the building of the instructions on this one, of course you do have the Stormbringer's head here, which is pretty nice looking. I really like it. Nice design, nice angles to it. I'm not sure which one I'll end up leaving on this. I'll probably paint both of them and swap them out whenever I feel like, just to be honest. Just whatever might tickle my fancy that day. But they both look really good. Got the foil sticker on the eyes in there. Oh, and they do both come with their own neck piece, because the GM's head is wider, and you know, it'll clash with, if you had this neck piece for the Gundam head, it would clash with the 2 gray tanks there on the side of the shoulders. So that kind of brings that gem head up a little bit higher so it clears them alright. And these here are actually the shoulders for the gem, for the Turbulence design. Now you can't just have these built up or whatever and swap out when you want. You have to disassemble the Stormbringer shoulders because there's only one piece for the framing on the inside of these. But you do have the parts here for both of those. And then of course you have the shield and a beam cannon here, which it does look kind of plain. There's not much color separation on this. They did pretty well the seam line on this. It turned into a panel line there, but you still have a bit of seam line here and there. But those should be pretty easy to get rid of, not a problem. Then that here attaches onto the arm, and these, you have to replace this part, which these are, I believe, called tonfas or whatever, but the beam sabers, which it does come with 2 effect parts for that, and 2 beam saber handles as well, which you can't store these on the kit when you have the Stormbringer's backpack on there. If you have the Gem Turbulence's backpack on there, you can store these. But as you see, mine's a bit of a mix-up of all the different parts. Like I said, kit bash in a box, so I had my fun while building it and got it how I wanted it. But these, of course, you know, will mount on the forearms, and you can place the beam saber effects in the end of these. So this is pretty neat. So I'm not worried about not having the beam saber handles on the kit itself, the one I have built up here, because this is actually a pretty cool design to have for this kit. But yeah, this right here will simply slot there where that was, and then onto the forearm there. Now one thing I thought when I got this kit, that the beam rifle was, you know, the shield and everything in this were all one piece. But actually how this assembles is you'll put this in the hand, and you can see that little notched out area right there. The piece of the shield there will slide into that. So these are two separate pieces. So I mean, if you want to, you could have this in one hand and the shield and the cannons in on the other arm. So that's pretty neat. Of course, it has the movable sight here on top. And then also you got plenty of extra hands for this guy, and he has a swappable hands. You got two of the beam saber holding hands here. Two trigger hands, so you can put the beam rifle and everything on whichever arm you prefer. And you got two of the open expressed hands here, which those are always nice to have. And then of course it has regular closed fist that I have on the kit at the moment. And then last but not least, we do have an action base adapter. Oh, there we go, focus there. And of course, every kit's got to have an action base adapter, which I haven't tested this out yet, so we'll see how it holds up at the end when I show some poses for y'all and give you all my final thoughts later on. Alright, let's get into the articulation of this guy here. We'll start with the backpack. Now the cannon here on the front will simply lift up and it will go out over the shoulder, but there is no side to side to it, so it's pretty much just straight forward all the time. Pretty simple movement on that. Then here also in the backpack you have the fuel tanks, which are simple, just ball and socket. They swivel around and you can rotate them a bit to whatever you might like. So backpack articulation is pretty simple, at least with the Stormbringer's backpack. And we'll remove that and get to the suit itself here. Now for the head, at least on the Gem's head, you have the visor that will up and down there. So that's a pretty cool gimmick. And of course side to side about so far. And it does have a good movement for forward. And you got a good down. Pretty decent up. But that little plate down there in the bottom of the head there kind of lifts up when you move everything around. Now for the shoulder armor, this stuff actually moves quite a bit. It'll swing all the way out there, so it obviously moves independent from the arm. And you can bring it up that far. And the arm, even with all that movement in the shoulder, it can only go up, well, not too bad. It goes up further than 90, so that's not too bad. And then you got, of course, have the rotation at the upper bicep. Nice double bend at the elbow there, comes all the way up. Of course, a bit of ball and socket there for the hand. And it also has some flexion there to it as well. And I lost the fingers, oh well. Some flexion. Of course the thumb joint moves, and it has another little joint here in the thumb, so you can kind of bend that down like so. So pretty good movement in all those. Now for the waist, this thing has some pretty good articulation in the waist. Of course you have a nice full ab crunch on that. He goes quite a ways forward. Back, not quite so much, but not too bad. And side to side is really good as well. So definitely love the ab crunch on this guy, works out wonderfully. Of course the side skirts, they have a couple moving points, they can kind of drop down and up, and of course they swing out. Side skirts are simple ball socket, they'll swivel around and everything like you typically would expect. The back skirting is fixed, it doesn't really move or go anywhere. And as for the legs, we'll kind of get that skirt up and front leg all the way up. Whoopsie. And front leg up, that's not too bad at all. A little more than 90, can't complain about that. And the back, yeah, the back of the leg, it only goes back so far, it doesn't even hit the back skirt here. That little gray piece there kind of hinders it, which you might be able to mod that yourself, maybe cut off a little bit of that top, so that's not too big of a deal. And then of course the leg will go all the way out. Probably doing that all the way out, they'll pop off that side skirt, and then of course we do have a full bend at the knee here. It is blocked a bit by the thrusters there on the back of the leg. And it has a little bit of a knee armor there for when it separates. And that's another deal on this. The part separation on this is really nice. You see back here, those are separate pieces in there, the orange and the gray for the thrusters back there. And all these little orange bits and everything, I figure I might as well go and point them out real quick, because there's really no seam lines on this guy to point out either. I mean, as far as I can think of is right here down the ankle. and for some reason that does not want to stay all the way pushed together, so probably end if you want to glue that. I'm not sure how I'll end up fixing that, but that's the only seam line that I have an issue with. But also, these do not rotate, the thrusters on the side, they're just simply pegged in there on the side. At the bottom here, these little thrusters will rotate up and down. Got a little play in those. Ankle armor here has some move to it, but not too much really. And now for the foot up, you got a bit of foot up there, not too much. And the foot back doesn't move too much. And side to side is blocked by the ankle armor, so you don't get too terribly much there as well. But you do have a nice toe bend, and the heel and everything bends as well, so they all kind of separate here in the foot, which is pretty nice. We'll see how well that works when we kind of try a kneeling pose or something like that later on. Overall, the articulation on this is pretty good really, especially with that ab crunch. It'll be fun to play at that here in some poses here in a moment. And speaking of that, we'll get to showing you some poses and I'll give you my final thoughts on this guy. Now, before I get into my final thoughts, I want to remind y'all this is a premium Bandai, and to get a hold of one now, you're probably going to have to pay a bit of a premium for one. You probably find one on eBay or something like that, but there's a lot of scalpers on that. So I'm going to leave a link to the Hangar Bay site if they still have it in stock when this video goes up. And you're still going to pay a pretty penny for it, but it's a decent site and you're not getting completely screwed over or anything like that. But all in all, the kit itself, I loved it. I had fun building it. There's so many different parts you can kind of just go through and swap out, and then all the extra parts, if you're like me and like to mod things, you have them to use for later kits or anything like that. It has good articulation. It has, you know, simple accessories and everything, but they are fun. I think they're pretty neat. I enjoy them. Color separation a little bit on all the green, but I'm going to paint, so not too big of an issue for me. But you can just kind of design this thing however you really want it as you build it. But other than that, I mean, it's just great. If you're willing to pay the price for it, to hunt one down and everything, if it tickles your fancy and all that. I think I've used that twice now in this video. Anyways, but yeah, if you're willing to pick one up, I recommend it. It's a fun kit. But guys, other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to y'all later.